It's Doug Bell. I'm the Business Solutions Manager here at the Advanced MarketPlace, and today I want to thank you for taking your time with us. We're going to go through what we call COM, AMP HP Application Lifecycle Management. Kind of want to go through who we are, what that is, and then we'll turn it over to the technical team, and we'll actually go through a presentation, a demo. So to get started, who is AMP? Advanced MarketPlace, founded in 1996. We specialize in consulting across application lifecycle, IT operations, security, training, and support. Pretty much our specialty is in the consulting, implementation, return on investment for your application lifecycle needs. And then, what do we call application lifecycle? This is a question we get, and the term is used loosely, but in a good application lifecycle management, we've got requirements management, which is probably one of my favorite spots to begin. Good requirements is the beginning of success, regardless of what you do. Functional and performance testing, application packaging services, of course, application security, application modernization, and application mapping. These are the building blocks for a good application life cycle. Before I keep going, can everybody hear me?
Sound good, Doug?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, IT operations. One of the things that we try to do with application lifecycle is we want to break down the walls between what we used to call dev and then ops. So in a true life cycle, IT operation, everything from service delivery, configuration management, asset management of these applications, endpoint server management, a service catalog, and then the business service management itself. And all of these things in the past we've kind of viewed as, technical assets. We've got a server, we've got network. All of us kind of focus on our individual technologies and our interest areas, but at the end of the day, what's most important is the business application. And so that's kind of the basis of the COM practice within AMP. Beyond operations, security. Security is definitely one of the biggest areas ongoing right now. Everything's from viruses, email attacks, hackers, you name it, we've got it going on. Security absolutely needs to be a part of our lifecycle management, and it doesn't need to be on its own any longer. In the past, the dev guys, we've developed code, we've tested code. The ops guys, we've put security passwords on OSs and whatnot, and then the security guys kind of do their thing. We need to involve security throughout the process, ops throughout the process, and break down the walls and barriers between these two. Training and support, another big piece of COM. We do a lot of customized training, curriculum, courseware, development, remote administration, support contracts, pretty much anything to support your COM initiatives. We've got custom programs developed for each. So we've kind of told you what we do, what we're looking at, what we're focused on, and now we want to say why. Why are we focused on it? Why is COM a big deal to us kind of deal? And this is probably a pretty good place to take a look at. Peter Drucker is probably one of my favorite guys, and this statement right here rings true. The single most important thing to remember about any enterprise is the results exist only on the outside. The result of a business is a satisfied customer. The result of a hospital is a healed patient. The result of a school is a student who's learned something, puts it to work 10 years later. Inside an enterprise, there are only costs. Well, what does that mean? Well, the way I like to look at it is at the end of the day, if my Cisco router's doing good, my server's doing good, my network's doing good, all of that is kind of irrelevant. unless the end customer that's using that application that rides on all of this infrastructure is happy and is making my company money. That's kind of what Peter's really trying to say there, is that we want to focus. All these other things need to work, and that's a fact. We've known that forever. But we want to kind of turn our attention toward making the business profitable, making the end user happy, and make sure we understand what makes them happy. Of course, applications are the core to the business. Everybody that uses an application knows that to be true, whether it's online banking, all your mobile apps like your pilot apps or whatnot, your traveling good apps. When you're using those apps, you're really not worried about what's behind them. You're worried about where that next gas station is, or making sure that ATM gives you your money, kind of thing. In today's climate, the business has to be enabled. There's no business without applications, and the agility to provide these applications is king in today's market. Application modernization technologies. In the past, we may have had a big mainframe. We put everything we had on it. Life was simple. We managed everything from a symmetric standpoint. In today's world, that's not the case. We've got systems scattered across multiple countries, multiple system types, applications talking to applications, data coming from 10, maybe 12 different applications versus one. So it's very important for us to have a control of our application lifecycle, lower our cost of ownership, reduce our maintenance cost, definitely create richer functionality for our end customers. And probably one of the biggest ones I see the most of from the business units that I talk to is increased agility. When we need to add functionality to the application, today we need to do it now. We can't wait. It can't be a 9-month, 12-month process. By that time, the market's shifted and it's out. Streamline our portfolio. Let's remove applications that aren't providing business value. And then here's kind of the deliverables. What we're looking to get to today is a composite application, to where we can release our application ratio of 1 to N, use Agile methodologies, integrate seamless business processes, and another favorite, provide efficient, predictable releases. Predictable being the key word there. It's one thing for us to be able to adopt an Agile methodology, increase our time to market, but when we get to market, if our applications don't work, we've kind of defeated the whole purpose. So we definitely want to shorten our cycles. We want to lower our risk and improve our quality. And teams. Yesterday we had in-house teams dedicated. I'm sorry, did somebody have a question? Okay, I'll continue. Today's teams aren't all within one area. They're not often all under our control. We can't physically go see them, talk to them. These teams are distributed teams. Some of them are on our payroll. Some of them are outsourced, cloud, you name it. We've got to be able to share our assets, our methodologies, our life cycle across all of our various teams seamlessly. We definitely want to maximize our skill sets, lower our global costs wherever we can, and then leverage 24-hour development cycles for development, testing, operations throughout the entire chain. In themes of modernization, we see these quite a bit. In the past, we design last, tightly coupled, integrated silos, all your typical last 40-year type stuff, cost-centered. Today, we design to change. It's loosely coupled. It's modular. Compositions of services, of apps are spread. We're process-oriented, interactive and iterative development. We definitely are business-centered now. I see this a lot in a lot of the IT organizations today, to where IT is actually broken up to match different business units. So it doesn't have like a center of IT any longer. IT is divided to support different businesses and their initiatives. And we're, of course, heterogeneous. We like to find the lowest cost to get our job done. If that's Windows, Unix, mainframe, we like to pick it. And this is why we're focusing, the last slide of this. This is kind of the guts behind everything we're doing. We believe we're on the largest application refresh in history. We haven't seen anything like this since Y2K. Modernization of legacy applications is widespread now. And on top of that, the mobile application space is going gangbusters right now. A lot of brand new applications for mobile, a lot of web-based applications coming online, not only replacing legacy systems, but adding to legacy systems and interfacing with legacy systems. And the reason, the driver behind all of this is everybody is under the same gun. We all need to lower our costs. We need to do more with less. We need to be agile and make sure we're looking out for our best business interests. Joey, I think I'm going to turn it over to you right now. Is that right?
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. So, Doug introduced me earlier, Joey Howe from Advanced MarketPlace. Hey, Doug, do you mind making me the presenter? I don't think it'll matter. There we go. Thank you. So I am the technical resource, really in charge of COM initiatives and all the technical capabilities of what goes around COM. Just to really level set, what we're going to do is we're really going to cover, HP IT Performance Suite, really the investment that HP's made into the product sets over the past 5-6 years. But what we're going to do is we're going to focus really a lot of the technical information around the core of the ALM product set, which is your application delivery products, but also the integration points that go along with that. One thing about the CALM initiative is it is a complete application lifecycle management. So what we want to do is really leverage what HP has built. You'll see that these products are very modular, and with the modular ease of deploying these product sets for a specific goal, also comes with the integration of the other components for potentially different personas. The IT Performance Suite right now that we're going to focus on, once again, we're going to talk a little bit about the strategy and planning. We're going to look at application lifecycle management, of course. We're going to do a little bit of IT operations management. So we're going to focus on the BSM, or Business Service Management Suite, and look at integration also with the Service Management Suite. Just to give everybody kind of an idea of what these products look like now, when we break it down to application lifecycle management and the components that make that up, the number of products are huge. But once again, they're built for a specific persona inside of the organization to deliver on their day-to-day activities. The good thing about, once again, these products is they do piece together. There's existing integrations that really can be leveraged with the HP product set, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. When we think application lifecycle management, it's not just about application delivery. It's about the overall application delivery and operation of the applications all the way to retirement. So if we look at the ALM 11 product set, it really provides a core foundation at the center of all of this. So when we think about planning what applications are going to be delivered, enhancements to applications, that's really where we're going to look at
the portfolio management product, so the PPM solution. We'll talk a little bit about why that's important. And then also, of course, delivering on the application or on a release. And that's going to do everything with ALM, quality testing, performance testing, and even security testing. And we'll look at some of those modules and how they fit into this overall cycle. And then, of course, to the operation side, the run state. We really want to focus on the integrations that exist between business service management and IT service management.
Really, when we look at some of the existing HP ALM kind of complete lifecycle integrations, there's really 1 to 9 points of existing integration that can be leveraged. If you're using one of these products today, if you're looking to move to another product to help with a different need inside of the IT organization, it's important to remember these integration points, because what that's going to do is help you out from an automation standpoint, from a lower cost of ownership standpoint. We'll talk about all of these topics and why these are important, but to give you an idea of what we're going to be covering, this is it. The first piece is going to be really around the plan state. How do we really leverage and manage our two demand streams? One being issues that may have arisen from an existing application that are eventually going to become enhancement requests. And then, of course, strategic initiatives. That's going to focus around all these new application modernization initiatives, like moving an application to a mobile platform or a cloud platform. And so it's important to know where our balance is between keeping the lights on and then actually being strategic and coming up with new applications to be competitive in the market, things like that. So that's really the integration between Service Manager and PPM. Moving forward into the application delivery, we want to focus on a couple of integration points between those two products with ALM, and we're going to talk about what those are. And then, of course, the core of the ALM. Integration exists already inside the ALM product suite itself. So we'll talk a little bit about how we can leverage things like service test management, really leverage ALM as a repository for all quality assets. And then, of course, application security. We'll talk a little bit about application security and why that's important, especially to application delivery, the development and testing teams. And, of course, how do we leverage what we really develop as a resource in application delivery and, don't recreate the wheel. Leverage that information that we discover in application delivery in our operations space with the business service management product. Well, why is this important? Of course, it's going to be around the different personas inside the IT organization, and of course, there are different objectives. That's what we're really going to focus on as we discuss why these integration points are important. Who's involved in this? This is just a slew of some of the potential resources that COM will actually touch, all the way from project managers, business analysts, application development, application QA, production support and monitoring, help desk, and change management organizations. Doug's talked a little bit about why we need to deliver and change the way we do application delivery and application lifecycle management. So, I'll leave this slide in here for reference, but he's touched on those points, and it's really broken up into the who, what, when, where, and how. Everything is changing in IT. But really, what I want to focus on are, why the actual worlds in IT are colliding. And in my opinion, it's the difference between application delivery and IT operations and their goals. So, of course, in application delivery, the business is pushing application development and testing to be faster, more agile, deliver applications rapidly to be able to be that first to market, to capitalize on being the first to release a new or cutting-edge application product. But once again, the need for the IT operations group is to stay stable. They don't like change. Typically when changes happen, issues arise, and that's the issues that they have to manage. So how do we bridge the gap?
Well, of course, in application delivery, we want to focus on build to run. We want to make sure the applications are solid. That's going to give the operations team a great idea that application delivery is really on their side. They're trying to deliver the best applications, the best quality, the best performing applications possible, which is really just going to have an impact on the amount of trust that IT operations starts to garner around application delivery teams with how the application should run when it goes to production, and how much overhead from a management standpoint or issues they might have to work through to keep that application running. So really the keys to bridging the gap are going to be around quality first. Of course, automation. Automation is going to make it quicker and cheaper to do specific tasks inside of IT. And the big one is collaboration. How do we make sure that everybody is on the same page, that we're using the same information regardless of which tool may be the presenter of that information? We want to be consistent. We want to have clear messages between the IT organizations. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is the ALM to PPM, or Project Portfolio Management integrations. That would be integrations 1 and 2 from the previous slide. And really this is around the plan capabilities. So the thing that we have with PPM, and especially with integration with APM and ALM, is we really understand the difference in what is needed for a new application or strategic demand, and what is needed for, maybe keep the lights on, kind of the maintenance streams that are coming from SSM. So some of our key product sets that we're going to be dealing with are PPM. So if that's a product that you use inside your organization today, it's really a focus. Now, once again, these products are all modular, so really what you use today, even integrations that exist with some of the other third parties that you may be using a different a vendor for a specific role, there's also existing integrations that can be leveraged with the product sets. But from an HP standpoint, we're looking at, the product suite that's really focused on understanding what our resources are doing, what the business has asked for us to deliver on, where are assets being leveraged currently, are they being leveraged in the right location? That's kind of the things that we're looking at with the PPM to APM and ALM integrations. And of course, building a process that's enforced and consistent across application delivery. Once again, what that's going to give us is complete visibility into kind of the portfolio and the health of all our IT applications. So we're quickly going to be able to deliver real-time dashboards of how healthy are these projects, what's the current status of application delivery. Even when the application is in production, what is the health of the application? What kind of defects or incident tickets do we have open? Are those incident tickets being handled and converted into change requests? How are we managing upcoming change and upcoming initiatives? It also gives us a view into managing the application demand, making sure that we're tying what IT is doing back to what the business need really is. And then to Doug's point, we can prioritize the application portfolio. Do we have the right applications in place? Is there any applications that potentially could be retired? What if there is a demand change? What if an application gets pushed out, and we need to divert our resources and focus into another initiative because of the delay? One thing that we do with PPM, because we understand where all our business or IT budget's being spent, regardless if it's a resource, if it's a piece of application code, you name it, we're able to do some what-if scenarios to say, are we getting the biggest bang for our buck? Are we delivering back to the business objectives in a very streamlined and cost-effective manner? Once again, we tie that all the way back down to application resources, regardless if those are physical resources, whether they're people resources, everything is visible to us in our portfolio. So we know exactly from a day-to-day activity standpoint where our time is being spent and that it is being spent in the appropriate locations. The next piece I want to talk about is the ALM Service Manager integration. So integration number 3, ALM the Service Manager. This is important because there is an existing integration if you're using the Service Manager product from an ITSM standpoint, and that would be really your help desk. If there was problems, are we, opening the problem tickets? Are they related back to, a potential defect or requirement or a change in the future? That's really where the ALM and SM integration comes from. What it provides is seamless integration between the product set so that we know that an incident is treated like an incident. So when we have a request for change, we can quantify what that change is and keep that located as a record across the 2 application platforms. So a couple of ways that this is going to be important. Some of the use cases where we leverage this integration is really a service manager change comes in. So if the business owner sees something that's not quite right with an application, they can open a change request, and when that ticket is open, the user has the ability to really label that as what it is. Is that a defect potentially? If that's an issue and we've noticed something that's not quite working well in production, let's go ahead and open a request for change, and let's go ahead and link that up to a quality center defect because we know it's going to be a work item in the future. The other one is the request for change from Service Manager that may just be an enhancement request, a nice to have or something that's going to be added to an application in the future. It's not quite a defect, but it's something that we want to enhance on, and that gives the user the ability to also set that as a requirement when they move that ticket from Service Manager and link that also to Quality Center and ALM. So we can actually go ahead and mark a change request as a requirement. And then the last one, it's kind of a twofold. It's bi-directional. Is a Service Manager problem. So an incident. We had a help desk call. We know that there's a problem in production. Well, let's go ahead and open, a Quality Center defect because once again, we need to know about it. It's going to end up being tested once a fix is in place. Let's go ahead and let, QA know that they have a work item that's going to be potentially coming. The other way that this integration works is from a release standpoint. When QA has finished their job of application testing and they've made that decision to go to production, everybody would like things to be 100% functional and working as designed, but we all know that's not the case. So it's nice to be able to take existing information around defects that are going to go to production, maybe they're minor defects, but go ahead and share that with our help desk team. Let's go ahead and open a Service Manager problem with deferred defects. And the other thing that we can do there is we can take the information from Quality Center and ALM that QA engineers already uncovered, and we can share that with the Service Manager knowledge base so that there's a quick and easy, effective way for a help desk resource to open up the knowledge base and search for potential known items, and then have the information of maybe potential workarounds for those known items until a fix is put in place. The other integration that we're going to move to is kind of an internal integration. It's ALM, and it integrates with HP SystemNet, and that's really our SOA governance. Doug earlier talked about how applications are changing. We're going very much from a mainframe-based operating system. We've come through client-server. We've done 3-tier architectures, and then we've gone to N-tier architectures. That's still kind of changing as far as application development, especially with some of the initiatives coming up with mobile, cloud. Everything is becoming a service. So how do we make sure we're managing our services correctly? And that's where HP SystemNet and HP Service Governance comes in. We talk about the evolution of QA. We know how it's evolving, but one thing I want to point out is, there is still traditional applications. So the good thing about the ALM platform is it is a system of record for all things quality. So we can still do our traditional QM task, but we also have facilities provided to us to help with managing modern applications. and specifically service-based modern applications. We talked a little bit about the evolution of the applications. This is really where we're going. And, there's still some question marks. We don't know how all of this is going to play out, but we know it's changing, and it's probably going to continue to change. More importantly, with the interior architectures, it's becoming more critical to understand where we could potentially have impacts when change is introduced into an application, and understanding what the potential impact relates back to as far as delivering on those applications. So that's what we'll look at with some of the ALM and SOA integrations. And of course, SOA is a bad word. Some people still like SOA, service-oriented architecture. Really, it's about modern software. So you can use the two hand in hand. What we're dealing with essentially is still highly distributed architectures, applications that touch multiple projects, potentially multiple lines of businesses in an organization. There's always multiple deliverables for each of those lines of businesses, and applications are becoming more shared. That's the whole concept of this composite application kind of delivery models now. Not only are the applications being shared from a services point of view, but they're also becoming composite in the platform that the technology is delivered on. And that could essentially make your IT organization a lot more risky than it currently is, and potentially could lead to that lack of control, right? Who's really delivering the service? Who owns the service? Who's responsible for maintaining services? Things like that. Really, when we look at the service delivery from an HP quality standpoint, there's four fundamental applications that are involved. HP Service Test Management, that's really a module inside of the ALM product. It helps us leverage that system of record for our quality and extend that into the SOA and SOA management space. So it gives us all the power of Quality Center and ALM, but really geared towards managing services and services quality. We also have HP Service Test. It's part of the new HP Unified Functional Testing suite of products. And what that is functional automation for everything that is headless. So everything that doesn't have a graphical interface, whether that's SOAP-based communication, REST APIs, even applications that are using queues for a message bus. If we want to test what the volume of messages on that queue would be, what the back-end enterprise service bus responds to as far as a volume for messages, we have that with HP Service Test. And HP Service Test actually can be leveraged in Load Runner with the SOA bundle. So we can reuse HP Service Test scripts in the performance testing space. HP Load Runner with diagnostics. So with diagnostics and HP Diagnostics, we have an application breakdown and monitoring visibility into the service itself, topology of the service, and that information can also make its way up to BSM, and we'll talk a little bit about what HP Diagnostics does in the operations space. And then, of course, the foundation of the governance side, which is HP Systenet. So Systenet provides us a way to govern the services, expose the services to consumers, enforce policies around how those services are leveraged, and even maintain the metadata associated with the service. You know, as a consumer, I don't want to introduce a service into my application unless that I know that the provider of that service has done due diligence to ensure quality. One of the integration points is to share that metadata with ALM and Quality Center to the Systenet platform. And essentially what that allows us to do is leverage 3 of HP systems of record. Of course, quality system of record, so ensuring that a service is of appropriate quality, that the tests have been executed and due diligence has been performed on ensuring that that service is ready for prime time, ready for consumption by the internal IT applications.
Of course, how do we find that out? That's with the system of record for governance. That's the system, that product. We're able to capture that metadata and understand that we have ideas how the service should work, any service level agreements associated with that, both from a business and a technical standpoint, before we consume that service. And also, even simple things like we know the owner of the service. If we have to request a change for a service, we know who to contact. We know where the appropriate ownership is. And, of course, this information can make its way up to kind of our production system of record, which for HP is the UCMDB, so that we have the configuration items associated with services. And, of course, topology and how those things are consumed inside the IT organization. The next integration point, we're going to talk about ALM and Application Security Center. This is the integration number 5. Doug pointed out the fact that security is really important today. I mean, it's probably every week or so I hear around how something was compromised or data was lost. So it's very much a very important thing to keep a mindset on, especially in the application delivery space. One thing historically, I worked for a large financial institution as a consumer of these products, and I was associated with the QA organization for a line of business there. And you know, historically, we had a security organization that was responsible for security, so it was very hands-off with the QA. You know, we got away with really just pushing off any security request to the security team, which is much smaller than the quality assurance organization. But it was fine, perfectly fine 10 years ago to say, well, you know, if it's a security vulnerability, you need to go talk to the security team. They're responsible for that. Those days are gone. It's not going to be very many opportunities to, you know, sit in a chair responsible for a QA organization, and if something happens like a data breach or information is lost, especially if it's related to an application that exposes consumer data, it's very hard for a QA director to sit there and not take responsibility in today's IT space. So those days are long gone. So that's one importance of making sure that you're able to leverage the information and knowledge of those security teams and expose those test cases to the QA staff and allow the muscle of QA to be able to execute those. It's going to make sure that you're doing your due diligence as a QA director to reduce the risk of data breaches or anything associated with that. The other thing is, if we look at where the vulnerabilities are coming from today, they're no longer attacks against data centers or, you know, firewalls or things like that. Really, our weaknesses around application code. So I think 80% is the last number that I've read where application is responsible for any potential security hole that exposes information or vulnerabilities. Well, if it's the application, from a QA standpoint, that lets me know right away that that's a defect with the application. And we all know a defect with the application code is probably the most expensive defect to repair and release to production. So with HP Fortify, we're able to get in there and do things like code analysis while an application is being developed. So expose the potential vulnerabilities from a development standpoint to your application developer and allow them to have the tools and the resources to be able to scan for vulnerabilities while they develop code. That's just going to leverage the need for QA to do the same test. But once again, once QA is able to leverage the same kind of security test case itself, we should know from that standpoint that we don't have vulnerabilities moving forward and that our application code is developed correctly, and that's going to just keep defects or potential defects contained within the phases where they should be discovered. The last integration points we want to touch on is, of course, ALM with business service management. So this would be really around moving moving from pre-production or application delivery into application operations. So this is the integration points 7, 8, and 9. When we look at application performance management, that's kind of the foundation of why we want to leverage those integration points. It's really going to be in 3 categories that we're focused. End user management, so how is the application responding to the end user? Transaction management, what is the actual user invoking, and what is the health of the data center and the things that are driving the data centers? And of course, tying those resources back to application lifecycle management. Where can we leverage these integrations to cut cost, to reduce kind of rework? So that's what we're really focused on inside of the DSM product. When we look at this, it's really going to be an integrated product set. One thing that you'll see is we're going to look at kind of the run state from pre-production to production, and we're going to use some of the common application tools. One thing that you'll see is, especially around Load Runner and Performance Center in the pre-production spaces, we've had existing integrations for a very long time with the monitoring solutions, and that's going to continue to go forward. HP decided right when they acquired these products that there's no point in recreating the wheel and having a different monitoring solution for pre-production applications versus production applications. So really all the monitoring solutions reside in the BSM umbrella, but have very heavy integration with the pre-production and the testing product sets. If we break that down, that's one of the main themes. If we look at what's in common, we have common HP diagnostics for production and pre-production monitoring. We have common agentless monitoring solutions, SiteScope, being able to give us components and application metrics, both from a hardware standpoint and even a software standpoint. We really focused on the common SLMs, right? However an application should run in pre-production, we expect that same performance in a production operation standpoint. Of course, key performance indicators that we may be tracking to ensure certain SLAs. And then, of course, there's some leveraging opportunities with the scripts that a pre-production resource develops. If we look at the first, really using the common monitoring is going to put us in a good position to be able to repair performance bottlenecks and issues very quickly. So we're going to spend more time on the resolution as far as quickly identifying it and fixing it, and that's going to equate to higher availability and performance of the application. And so this is really geared around HP diagnostics and leveraging HP SiteScope as a common monitoring solution between platforms. The next one is script reuse. So the ability to go in and see how an application is performing in production, looking at SLAs, being able to reuse some of our scripts to get a very predictive view into end-user management. And then also the ability to bring that back to pre-production with things like Real User Monitor, seeing what's really going on a production application. How is an end user using the product when it's in production? How many users are actively using the product? That information can be gained with Real User Monitor or the HP RUM solution, and that's going to allow us to bring real user experience data back into pre-production, back into QA, so that we're going to be able to enhance our test cases and make sure we're testing what's important. So that, in a nutshell, is really kind of the integration points that we wanted to cover with some of the COM and ALM material that we've presented today. So really, I'm just going to leave you with next steps. Of course, if anything has struck an interest today, if there's maybe things that you really uncovered for the first time today, looking at the products and looking at these maybe existing integration points that you're not leveraging today, feel free to give us a call. Of course, we can dive into any of those integration points. We can get very low level and really try to highlight why those are important at an individual level. just looking at where your organization can kind of leverage some of this automation and streamline existing business process.